always been keen on the sons of Tappet. We've done well with him. He's broken out quite well. He's a beautiful mover, potentially a really nice two-turn horse going forward. We're really kind of very fond of him.
We bought the Tappert filly out of the Blue Eyes in the Rain filly at the Keeneland sale. What we really liked about her was obviously her physique. We liked the way she moved, and we just fell in love with her from the start, really.
Tappert, standing at Gainesway.
Hi everyone, David Aragona here with another edition of the TimeformUS Road to the Derby series. Big weekend coming up on Saturday, 3 Derby preps taking place across the country. The focus of this video is New York's Grade 3 Gotham, going the one-turn mile at Aqueduct on Saturday. 50 Kentucky Derby qualifying points on the line to the winner of the race. In past years, the Gotham has not been the most productive prep to produce Kentucky Derby starters, certainly not horses that have been successful in the Kentucky Derby, but we'll see if that changes this year. A lot of horses that might not have Derby aspirations that have been successful in one-turn races, and I think that makes it a really interesting race to handicap, even if it's not the most likely prep this weekend to produce Derby contenders. Let's throw up the field for this race, and I should say, as we throw up the field, thanks to Gainesway for presenting this video and all of our Kentucky Derby prep coverage at Daily Racing Form this prep season. You see this field of 10 is signed on for the Gotham. I had a tough time making the morning line for this race. I think there are 3 runners that are likely to vie for favoritism. Gave the slight nod to the number 9 Morello as the very lukewarm 3-1 favorite over the other undefeated colt, the number 5's Dean's List at 7-2. Rockefeller shipping in for the Bob Baffert stable from California. He drew the outside post. I've got him at 4-1 as the narrow third choice in this race. Obviously, Rockefeller, the one horse in this race not eligible to receive Kentucky Derby qualifying points, but I think you can make a case for a lot of runners in this field. I got a couple 30-1 shots that maybe are a little bit tough to make the case for, but all the others have some credentials, and we're going to highlight quite a few of them as we tackle the contenders in this race. Before we do that, though, let's take a look at the TimeformUS pace projector. And one thing that I noticed when I was going through this Gotham field is there is a lot of speed signed on. I was just kind of comparing all of the TimeformUS early pace ratings of these horses, which does influence the TimeformUS pace projector. And I think 8 of the 10 runners had triple-digit TimeformUS early pace ratings. So no surprise to see that red flag indicating a fast pace. And I think we're going to see some of those stretch-out sprinters towards the front end, in particular, the number 5 Dean's List, who has shown a lot of early speed in his 6 furlong races down in Florida. You'd imagine going the mile, Todd Pletcher is going to be thinking this horse should be able to secure the front end, but he's going to have some company up there. The number 8 Bold Journey has shown some tactical speed in prior starts. The number 10 Rockefeller won a graded stakes in gate-to-wire fashion, 2-back in the Nashua going the same distance, and also horses like From Another Mother, Life is Great, and even a horse like Golden Code has shown speed in prior races, the number 3. So a lot of horses that could be forwardly placed in this Gotham. Let's start by taking a look at that projected early leader, the number 5 Dean's List, and check out his last race when he won an allowance event at Gulfstream. As I said, this was just going 6 furlongs, so he's going to have to stretch out an extra 2 furlongs to get the mile distance of the Gotham, but I like the grit that he shows battling back on the inside of this race. You can see for a good part of the stretch run, he was hanging on his left lead. He switches over to his right lead at about the 8th pole and is able to fend off that runner to his outside, the similarly named Dean Delivers, who's actually going to be competing in the Fountain of Youth on this same Saturday afternoon over at Gulfstream, though. Dean's List earned a pretty similar speed figure to the one that he got in his debut in winning that allowance race last time, just progressing a little bit from his 107 in his first start to a 103 in his last start. Got a bit more of a favorable pace situation last time, but I did like the way he finished up that race. He's a very typical Speightstown, if you've seen a lot of progeny of Speightstown, the chestnut with that quick action, that big stride, and it looked like he would be the kind of horse that might be able to get the mile distance under the right kind of circumstances. We'll see if this Gotham does present the right circumstances, though, because, as I said, there's a lot of other speed signed on. He does have some stamina breeding on the dam side. His dam herself, mildly offensive. She was a pure sprinter, but she's produced a couple of other foals by Tisnow, not Speightstown. Both of those did want to go longer. The dam is a half-stool horse named It's No Joke, who was a graded stakes winner going 1.25 miles. So there is pedigree to go longer on the dam side if you dig a little bit. We'll see if Dean's List is able to handle it and if he's able to withstand some pace pressure in this race. One thing that I'm not a big fan of, though, with this horse is a DRF formulator fact that I found for trainer Todd Pletcher. This actually applies to Dean's List, but also the number 3 Golden Code, though I think it's more relevant for Dean's list because he's going to be a shorter price in this race. In graded stakes over the past 5 years, with 3-year-olds stretching out from sprints to routes on dirt, Todd Pletcher is just 2 for 26. It's 8% win rate with an ROI that is pretty low. So Dean's list, not the kind of horse that Todd Pletcher typically wins with in these situations. So just want to be a little bit wary of him at a short price for that reason. Let's take a look at the horse that I think might go favorite in this Gotham. That's the number 9 Morello, and we'll check out his last victory when he won the Jimmy Winkfield over this same Aqueduct strip back in early February. And the way that Morello finishes up this race, going 7 furlongs, really doesn't give you too much doubt that he's going to be able to handle the mile. He's had a good trip in this race, stalking a couple of early leaders, but he puts them away on the stretch. That runner-up Life is Great is actually also back in this Gotham field, though he might be a little bit distance challenged. Morello, though, he's running through the wire here. The son of Classic Empire is stretching out gradually from start 1 to start 2 to start 3. As you can see, debuting at 6 furlongs, trying the 7 last time in the Jimmy Winkfield, and now making that logical progression out to the mile. So I think this horse is well managed coming into the Gotham, and unlike a lot of other top contenders in this race, he has already shown that he can pass horses and be successful. He did it in his debut when he actually did not break well and had to rush up into that stalking position, albeit while doing so in a slow pace, but he still finished off well that way. And the same thing last time, broke better, but stalked horses and was able to pass them en route to victory. So I just think Morello makes a lot of sense here. That 107 TimeformUS speed figure that he got for the Winkfield is right in line with a lot of the other top contenders in this race, and I just think he makes a lot of sense in here. But for that reason, he's the kind of horse that I think a lot of people might land on. So that's why I did peg him as that slight favorite on the morning line. Another horse that could attract some wagering attention is the number 10 Rockefeller. Let's take a look at his last race. He ran back in early January at Santa Anita in the Grade 3 Sham Stakes, and he's actually being beaten by his stablemate here, Newgrange, who was riding the rail the whole way en route to his victory. Rockefeller just kind of chased him around there, applying token pressure, and fades a little bit in the late stages. I thought that the trips for the top 2, both Bob Baffert trainees by the same owner, were somewhat choreographed here, and the lack of pressure that Rockefeller applied to Newgrange sort of allowed that one to win the race. But that said, still would have liked to see Rockefeller finish off that race a little bit better. And you could see that was a slow pace last time. Also, a day at Santa Anita that was speed favoring. That red color-coded race rating box indicates a speed favoring track at Santa Anita. So while his speed figures do put him right in the mix, and he's got that victory going the 1-turn mile 2 back in the Nashua at Belmont, I still think this is a tough assignment for Rockefeller. Drawn on the outside, he's going to have to be pressing the pace the entire way, and I'm just not sure he's really taken much of a step forward since we first saw him all the way back in August of last year. And Bob Baffert's not really treating him like he's one of his top prospects, and I'm a little bit wary of him, especially if he takes money in this Gotham. Another horse that's coming out of a race and actually a narrow loss is the number 8 Bold Journey. And let's take a look at his defeat against Stakes Company last one out in the Gander Stakes. And might be a little bit surprising to you watching this replay that this horse does get beat, because coming into the stretch, Bold Journey, who was the number 7 on this day, as you can see, has a 4-length advantage. It looks like he is well on his way to an easy victory. But that runner-up, Bereze, who's coming after him, that's a pretty good horse, a New York bred who is undefeated in 3 starts. And he's a horse that likes to target and really runs through the wire. And you can see him kind of lengthening his stride as he runs by Bold Journey in the late stages of this race. Now, I think the immediate reaction of a lot of people after watching that defeat by Bold Journey was, oh, this horse doesn't want to go a mile, because he was impressive, winning his maiden, going 6 furlongs in his prior start, stretched out the extra 2 furlongs, and he finished like that and got run down. I'm not so sure that that's the right way to view the Gander, though, because take a look at the TimeformUS pace figures for that race. The early pace started out on the moderate side. Bold Journey was stalking a pace that was not particularly fast, but check out the pace figure line between the second and third calls, how much it improves from an 89 all the way up to a 109. I kind of highlighted there with an arrow. That is very unusual to see in a dirt race. Horses accelerate so much in the middle of a race. Really, we didn't see that kind of pattern at all at Aqueduct on February 12th, and that's why the pace figures have shook out that way. And I think that that really highlights the fact that Bold Journey moved too soon. It really did have a right to get tired in the late stages of that race. So I'm not going to be quite as hard on Bold Journey for that loss as I might have wanted to be in the moment. He's still got a 105 TimeformUS speed figure for that effort, which is right in line with the kinds of numbers that Dean delivers and Morello are running. I think Bold Journey is going to be a better price. I should mention his pedigree. He is a half-brother brother to American Revolution, that Grade 1 winner going the mile of distance in the Cigar Mile. So pedigree certainly says the distance is no problem for Bold Journey, and I think he's going to give a better account of himself in this Gotham, trying the one-turn mile for the second time in his career. Another horse that's coming out of a similar race with Bold Journey is Golden Code, the number 3. Let's just take a quick look at his past performances. He was second to Bold Journey in his debut race back in December. This horse is a New York bred, as is Bold Journey, and he did beat New York bred company when he broke his maiden second time out over a muddy track back in early February. Only got a 97 TimeformUS speed figure for that race, but do take note of the final time figure, a 107, obviously knocked down a little bit because he did set a slow pace that day. The blue color-coded pace figures that take that dip, as you can see in the pattern there, they kind of indicate that he did have things his own way on the front end, especially towards the middle portion of that race, but liked the way that he finished up. Not supposed to have problems with the distance as a Son of Honor code, just as really getting a class test here for Todd Pletcher, and another horse who that stat that I showed earlier for Dean Delivers does apply to, stretching out in distance on the dirt and graded stakes, not really Todd Pletcher's forte. A horse that's coming off a maiden victory, kind of like Golden Code, that I should highlight is the number 4, From Another Mother. Let's take a look at his last race when he won back in the middle of January to break his maiden, going 7 furlongs at Aqueduct. That is him in the blue silks down towards the inside, actually owned by the same group as Morello, though going out for a different trainer, Ray Handel, the trainer from Another Mother. And you could see he's hugging the rail this day as he runs away from some horses that are to the outside that are fading in the late stages, and that is important to note because January 13th, especially early in the day, was one of those race cards at Aqueduct where the rail was a significant advantage. We've seen quite a lot of those recently at Aqueduct, or more so in January and February, but it is worth noting when they do show up because we've seen a lot of horses running back off those bias-aided trips that have really regressed in subsequent starts at Aqueduct. So I'm a little bit afraid that could be a similar pattern for From Another Mother. We saw the horse that was second him that day, Jester's Song, who got a pretty high speed figure, come back and run a third in his next race at a relatively short price, but did regress from a speed figure standpoint coming back out of that race. So just a little bit wary of putting too much stock in that last number 4 From Another Mother. As you can see, he got that 113 final time number, which was knocked down quite a bit because in addition to being on that gold rail, he was also setting a very slow pace that day. So I think there are some questions around this horse. So really let price be your guide with a runner like him. One horse that I should discuss before I throw out my picks is the number 2 Glider. And I've been talking about a lot of horses that want to be forwardly placed. And if you're just kind of desperately searching for a viable closer in this Gotham, I suppose you could land on this horse because he's shown the ability to pass a lot of horses in his races. He did that 2-back when he won over the synthetic course at Gulfstream. He liked that Tapeta surface that day, closing from towards the back of the pack to get up to win by over 4 lengths. Came back on the dirt last time, making his first ever dirt start, and he ran into a pretty good horse, Emmanuel, who could go off as the favorite in the Fountain of Youth on Saturday. Glider, though, while he lost by 4 lengths and was second to that horse, really was not in the same league from a visual standpoint. Emmanuel was much the best that day, and Glider briefly got into contention in early stretch, but faded badly in the late stages, not able to go with that winning foe as he sprinted off to the wire. Glider also has a bit more of a turf synthetic pedigree, so I want to see him do it again on the dirt, and he would have to run a much faster speed figure. I think he'll get the right kind of pace set up. I just kind of question his overall quality and overall potential on the dirt. So let's throw out my top picks for this race. And as you could probably get a clue to as I was talking about him, I do like the number 8 Bold Journey. I thought that he ran deceptively well in that loss in the Gander last time. And I think with a different kind of pace situation here, the connections are not going to be so afraid to take this horse slightly off the pace and ride him more like a stalker as he did in his debut. And I think that could be the key to success with Bold Journey, kind of preserving that turn of foot that he showed on the far turn last time until they get into the stretch in the Gotham. So I put him on top, hoping to get somewhere around that 6-1 morning line. I think even 9-2, 5-1 would be a fair price given how wide open this race appears to be. I've got the very logical Morello in second. A little concerned he could be an underlay, but I think he just makes a lot of sense as a contender in this race. And the number 5 Dean's List, who I have in third. Actually, I have both of those top Pletcher runners, third and fourth, Dean's List and Golden Code. I'm not against Dean's List. I think he's talented. Just kind of question the pace situation for him and if he can get this added distance. So that's a look at the Gotham on Saturday at Aqueduct. Thanks to Gainesway for presenting this video, and good luck to you if you're playing the races this weekend.